Hello there. Now, in this series of videos, we're going to teach you how to make a very simple yet classic Scratch game. And that's what we know as the Mole Smash or Mole Mash, you might know it as. And you may have seen this game in sort of arcades or fun fairs. The physical game looks a bit like this. But there are also digital versions of that game that look sort of like this. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make something that looks like a digital version in Scratch. So we're going to keep it simple, and in this video you'll watch it through, and at the end of it I want you to create two graphics for me. A hammer or a mallet, whatever you want to call it, we're going to whack with, and also the object that we're going to be whacking. Now, Scratch by default looks a bit like this, and you can see that this little square up here, or rectangle shape, not square, is of course the game area. This is where the game is going to run. At the moment, by default, it puts the Scratch cat in there. And I don't want a cat there because we're not going to whack cats because that makes some people get quite upset. Beetles, fine, we can smash them. Cockroaches, yeah, smash them. But cats, people get upset about that. So, although Tom and Jerry have done it for years, so why people get upset, I don't know. Or did I think maybe just getting upset, something I've made up. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I don't want a cat. So, how do I get rid of the cat? Well, down here, there's a little mini version of the cat, and I can press that bin there, and it's gone. So we want two graphics still. And how do we get those graphics? Well, down here, little cat head as well, look. It says choose a sprite, and I've got four options. I can upload a sprite, which we will come back to. I can get a surprise sprite, which if I click on it, gives me a snowman. It was a surprise. I wasn't expecting a snowman, and the whole point being is that you click on surprise. Oh look, I've got a what? A takeout? Surely that's a bucket. I don't know who named that one. Takeout is what you get from a Chinese restaurant or something like that, isn't it? Oh, maybe that's what it is. Whew, I'm not convinced. I think it still looks like a bucket. Anyway, that surprised me. Or I can paint a graphic. Now, if you want, you can paint a hammer, and it's quite easy to do. What you do is you take a rectangle and you choose your fill colour. I'm going to go with black to start with, and I'm going to draw a rectangle, and look, there it is. That's like the handle of the hammer. And then I'm going to draw another rectangle. I'm going to go with, I want some sort of brown colour, I think. Oh no, look, I've changed the colour of that one. Oh, you know what, let's have a brown handle, doesn't matter. I'm going to draw another rectangle, like so. It's a brown and a brown one. Let's change that one to black then. That would work, wouldn't it? So I've got a black. Oh, there we go. I've got these anyway. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that off. Oh, I need to choose this one here, and I can put those together like that. Lovely. And what I can do is I can select both of them like so, and then I can group them together. And now look, I don't move the rectangles round independently. So I can draw a hammer if I want to, but it's really important. Here's a really important bit. If you do decide to draw something, watch this. I'm going to zoom in. See that blue cross? That's the middle of the hammer. Do you notice that target has appeared there? Like a sniper rifle. Well, that's the middle of the sort of, I don't know what to call it, the canvas for the hammer? I don't know, but all I do know, and this causes 99% of the problems I get from my own students, is the fact that they haven't done the following. If you draw anything, you must make sure that blue cross and that sniper rifle sight are lined up together. So, you can draw a hammer like that if you wanted to. That's one way of doing it. Now, let me show you another way that we can do this. We could look in Choose a Sprite. We look in a library. We've got beetles that would be good for smashing. I think I'll drop a beetle in there. Yeah, I'll leave that one there. But were there any hammers there? Let's have a look. So, let's go down. It's alphabetical. Here we are, H's. I've got a Hannah. Not a hammer. Hair. Oh, that's it then. There's no ham. So there's no hammers. Maybe mallet. Let's have a quick look a little bit further down. Microphones and magic wands. Oh, I could do a magic wand going up and down. No, we haven't got a hammer, we haven't got a mallet, so we're kind of out of luck in the library here. But you can have a look through for stuff that you might want to use in any games that you build. But if you're out of luck and you're not very good at drawing rectangles, which is a bit of a stretch because everyone can draw a rectangle, but let's say no, you're saying this is not professional, I want professional proper hammers. What you can do is this. If you head to Google or any search engine of your choice, what I've done is I've typed in clip art hammer. Now, this is really important. I'm going to go to tools here and I'm going to choose where it says colour, I'm going to choose transparent. But really importantly, because we want to teach you right from wrong here, kids, where it says usage rights, you must change that to Creative Commons licenses. Now, I'm not going to explain what that means, but what I am going to tell you is this. I'm allowed to use all of these images and it's not like a breach of copyright. No one's going to come and arrest you. Well, they're not going to arrest you anyway for stealing a picture. Well, not arrest you, but you can get fined when you're much older. They wouldn't fine you as children. But anyway, it's just good practice to make sure that any images that you use are actually Creative Commons, so therefore you're not going to upset anybody. Now, I like this one. Look at that hammer. That's a beauty. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to choose Save Image As. Now I've already set a folder up called Mole Smasher Game. And I have already done this before because at the moment it says image processing 202022. Okay, let's just call it hammer, which I'd already done because I've saved this already. So I'm going to press cancel. Fantastic hammer that's far too large. It's far too large. But we're not concerned about that. The size of it doesn't actually matter. So that's your task. I'll put this one over off the edge for the moment. All I want you to do is to create just two graphics for me. I'm going to leave that giant hammer. I'm going to get rid of this one here. It's a sprite one. I'm going to bin that one. I like my hammer. I like my beetle. I think that's going to make a good smashing game. I don't like the size of them, but that doesn't matter. All I want you to do is now to fire up Scratch and to make me a hammer and a beetle. But really, 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 really importantly, when you've done that, because I'm not using the web-based version, I'm using the offline version. So if you're using the offline version, you must do File, Save to your computer. I made a folder called Mole Smasher Game. So I'm going to call this Beetle Smash. I wasn't sure, I should have called it, I should have got a mole really, but there we go, we ended up with a beetle instead. It doesn't really matter. But one thing I do know is that my Scratch game is saved in my Mole Smasher Game folder, so I can find it in the future. Anyway, I'm going to save it. That's all there is from me. You can stop this rather long video, but go and get yourself two graphics. You can draw them, you can get them from the internet. I don't mind how you do it, but get me a hammer and an animal that you're ready for doing some whacking on. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to get you to put the animals, the beetle and the hammer to the appropriate sizes. And we're going to make that hammer do a whacking motion to make it go up and down. So, let's go to work. What do we have to do? Now, I'm not going to do a watch and repeat type video. This isn't going to be how this is going to work. I'm going to give you some clues as to things that you need. I'm going to show you the blocks that you need. Then you're going to put it together. And if it doesn't work, it's not a problem. There's a solution video in a moment. Hopefully, you won't need it. Let's start with the easy bit. Let's go to the beetle. And we want to say, the game starts, by the way, when you press the green flag. So, when we press the green flag, we want that beetle to be much smaller. We want the hammer to be a hell of a lot smaller as well, but the beetle needs to be smaller than it is. So I'm going to do this. over on the left hand side we've got something called events, and in events the very first one is when green flag is clicked, or in other words when the game is started. So I'm going to do the beetle for you. We're going to go to looks. Sorry, I should have said we're going to go to looks now, because we want to change the size of it. We want to change what it looks like. And in looks, we have this 2 blocks here, change size by 10 and set size to 100%. I see a lot of students in the past, they always use change size. We don't want that, we actually want set size. So if I do this, and I press the green flag, nothing's happened, because the beetle is at 100% of its original size, in other words, the same size. If I change that to, if I go into there and delete that, and let's change that to a 50, let's see what happens when we press the green flag. Now the beetle is much smaller. And I'm kind of okay with the size of that beetle. Might want it smaller when I build my real game, I don't know yet. But for the moment that will do. But one thing is for sure, the hammer is absolutely enormous. Absolutely enormous. I don't want that. So, what we're going to need is, again, events. When the green flag is clicked, we need looks, and we're going to have set size too. Now, I'll do this one. Let's make that a 10%. Will that be small enough? Actually, that's not bad. I like that. But I want that hammer to be whacking up and down. And to do that, we've got a little bit of teaching to do, and I'm going to show you some blocks that you need, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to work it out. So that hammer, when we press the green flag, it should be whacking up and down. So how do we do that? Well, we need the following commands. Well, actually, first of all, before we do the following commands, we need to draw another version of this hammer. Let me show you something. Let's go to costumes, where we have this hammer. And what we want is we want the hammer sort of, this is in its up position, and maybe we want the hammer sort of lying flat, as if you're whacking down on it. But I can't move this hammer. I'm trying to click on it. And nothing is happening. Because with a graphic that I bring into Scratch, I need to do this. I need to convert it to a vector. I just have to hit this button here. And when I click on it, it looks like nothing has happened. But now, actually, I can actually click on the hammer. And you will notice that I can move the hammer around. Now, I don't want to do that. So I press Control Z there to undo. Let me just do that again for you. If you move something by mistake, you can either hit Control Z on your keyboard, or you can press this button here, which is the undo button. And I do that, and it took it back. But what I want to do is, I need you to look up in this top left-hand corner here. It says costumes, and this is what we call costume number 1. You can see number 1 there, and it says hammer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to duplicate. So now I have 2 costumes. Costume number 1 is called hammer. Costume number 2 is called hammer 2. But hammer 2, I want that to lie flat. But because I've converted it to a vector, and I click on it, I can now, down here, I can rotate it. Oh no, that was a mistake. Let's undo that. What I really want to do is make it lie flat. So now I have hammer, and I have hammer 2, and you can kind of see what's going on here. It looks like it's whacking it down. So I'm kind of happy with that. Well, I'm happy with the positions of the graphics, but I haven't told the computer to keep switching between the costume of hammer and hammer 2. So how do we do that? Well, over here, I'm going to show you the blocks that you need. You can see switch costume to hammer 2. Wow! Look what happens. If I just put that there for a moment, watch my hammer there. Look at that, it's gone down. But I want it to go back up again. So in fact, I'm going to need 2 commands. One to switch the costume to hammer 2, and one to switch the costume to hammer. But then what of course I'm going to need is that I'm going to need to tell it, and this is, sorry, I actually clicked on Control actually. There's a command here to wait 1 second. And I can go in here and I can make that 0.1 if I want to. So that's like a real 1/10 of a second, or if I want half a second, I can make it 0.5. The time that you choose is completely up to you, but what you're also going to need is this command here, a forever loop. Now, what needs to happen is this. You want to say this hammer forever is going to start at costume hammer, then it's going to wait a period of time, and then it's going to switch to hammer 2, and then it's going to wait a period of time, and then it's going to go back to hammer 1 or hammer. So I'm going to get you to work out what you think needs to happen. This is your challenge now. Can you put these blocks of code into this forever loop and then put the forever loop and glue it up there so that when you press that green button, your hammer is whacking up and down? Now, I've missed a block out. See if you can work out how I've missed a block out. Try it and see if you can solve it yourself. And if you can't, there's a solution video for you in a moment. Don't need a new block. I just need 2 of one of those blocks that's there that I've only got 1 of at the moment. See if you can work it out anyway. Off you go. Okay then, one whacking hammer. What do we need to do? So I'm going to put that one in there. I'm then going to put wait 0.5 seconds. I'm going to put that one in there. And if I do this, it's not going to work. Watch what happens. What's going on with the hammer? It's like flashing. Because, whoops, what I needed was 2 of those 0.5. I need to just duplicate that one. Oh, I'm going to pull that one apart and drop that over there to stop the game for a moment. And I needed, this was the extra one. So it basically is going forever. Switch to hammer, wait half a second, switch to hammer 2, wait half a second, switch to the hammer. And it stays in this loop. But now, what I should have is a whacking hammer. I think that hammer is whacking a bit on the slow side. I think maybe I should have run with 0.2. Let's try that instead. And let's run that. Yeah, that's much better speed of hammer whacking. I like that. I'm quite happy with that. I think it's time to move on to our next task. Okay then, so we have a hammer, we have a beetle, I press play, and the hammer is whacking away. Now, I think in the last task video I was waiting 0.5 seconds, and I realised that was a bit slow, so I've changed that to wait 0.2 seconds between switching between the costumes and of the hammer, that's looking pretty good, I think. I'm quite happy with the whacking speed on that hammer. Now, what I want to do is, to make the game work, I want to be able to move that hammer around. And the sensible thing to do is have the hammer follow the cursor. So if I move my cursor on the beetle, the hammer should whack the beetle. How do we get the hammer to follow the cursor? Well, actually, there's a really simple command to use, and it's this one. It says here, go to random position. But if I take that out and press the arrow, go to mouse pointer. Now, I'm deliberately going to do this wrong. So you're probably thinking, okay, no problem. When the green flag is clicked, we can put that in there, and we can put that like that, and we press the green flag, and the hammer's gone up there. And when I move down, it's not following the cursor. The reason for that is, look at this command here. You say to the computer, hammer, go to the mouse pointer. It did. Hammer, make yourself smaller. Well, it did, but it was so quick we didn't see it. And then it says forever. So the whole thing is, the only instruction the computer's doing is this set of instructions here. Switch to hammer, wait 0.2 seconds, switch to costume, hammer 2, wait 0.2 seconds. It's doing that whole whacking thing. And that's all it's doing, because that's all we're telling the computer to do. We haven't told it to go to the mouse pointer again, to keep going to the mouse pointer. The whole point being is we want the hammer to follow the mouse pointer forever. So you might be thinking, oh, in that case, should that one not go inside there? And the answer is, it works, sort of. Now, That's not a lag on your screen. It's jerky because it's taking a bit of time to follow the hammer. I'll just move it around in a circle, like so, and you can see it's quite laggy. And the reason for that is that, look at the commands. Go to mouse pointer, and then it's got to go through switching to costume hammer, waiting a bit of a second, switching to costume hammer 2, waiting a bit of a second, and then it will go to the mouse pointer. Now, if I do this as 1 second and 1 second, it sort of will emphasise this a bit more. Watch the delay now. I'm following, look at my cursor, and look, the hammer is taking a long time to follow the cursor because it's only doing it every sort of 2 seconds, because basically the command is hammer, go to the mouse pointer, switch to costume hammer, wait 1 second, switch to costume hammer 2, wait another second, and then go to the mouse pointer. So it's 2 seconds between every time it goes to the mouse pointer. So this, whoops, doesn't go in there. You can use that block more than once. You can have 2 different sets of scripts. So here's your little challenge now. Hopefully it's quite simple. When the green flag is clicked, we want the hammer whacking on one block here, and when the green flag is clicked, the hammer must follow that mouse pointer forever. See if you can solve it. So this is probably the quickest video I'm ever going to do. It was nothing more than, if you made the mistake and you did that like that, then what happens here is it won't follow your mouse pointer forever, because all we needed was, there he is, a forever loop. Put him in there, and now, look at that. Oh, I forgot my timings. Put that back to 0.2, otherwise it's looking a bit wonky, so let's put that back to 0.2. Maybe it's not going to be the shortest video ever after all. But now, what we should find is my hammer is whacking away, and it's following the mouse cursor all around the screen, and there's no real lag on it whatsoever at all. So we now need to make it do something with that beetle when it whacks it. That's for our next video.